Hello, and today's burning question is your school website working for you? And the mission today, today's goal, is to provide you with the insight to build a really valuable and hard-working website, yet an impactful one that's really going to generate nurture leads for your school and communicate all the other things that you want to get across. So without further ado, I'm Andrew Sculthorpe from Image 7, Business Director here. I've been working for many, many years in mainstream advertising, marketing, publishing, and media, and delighted to be talking to you today about websites. We've worked with many, many clients over the years to produce some really hard-working websites. And my fellow presenter is Brad Entwistle. Hello, Brad.
Good morning. Well, good morning, good afternoon, depending on where you are, or indeed good evening. Yeah, thanks, Scully. My name's Brad. I'm the Managing Director at Image 7, and I'm really excited about today because this is a hard question, how to make websites work for you. It really is quite difficult, and what we're doing is gathering a whole bunch of ideas together and trying to put some order around them.
Image 7, a quick run through who we are. We're a marketing communications firm based, or the international global hub, if you like, is in Perth in Western Australia. We've got members of the team in Adelaide, Sydney, and Brisbane, and now we straddle the world with another member of our team over in Ireland and the UK, where we're already working with several clients. So we believe we're globally recognised, and certainly we've got quite a large following elsewhere, all over the world, in the States, in Canada, and various places. So without further ado, we've got more than 20 members of our team who are here to help bring your school marketing to life. So let's get on with it.
Okay, well, the first step is the very first thing that we always want to be sure about is making sure that we're clear on what you want your website to do and achieve. And this is before you think about what it's going to look like, before you think about the content management system, before you think about even writing any content. Let's work out what the site needs to do and achieve. These two questions indeed will really set the path on what your website is able to do for you. This is where your website, the success of it, is cast in stone, if you like. Scully, I mean, talking about audience, one of the things we often say is, well, who are you talking to with your website exactly? Is it the parents? Is it the prospective parents? Is it students, staff? And all too often, we find that we're trying to talk to everybody a bit.
Yeah, it's very easy to fall between several stools, and of course, different parts of different sites will talk to or need to talk to different people. Very often now, the increasing trend is that in fact you'll have different sites or microsites addressed or rather aimed specifically at different audiences. But I'll guarantee you'll want to talk to an existing parent community. More and more websites have got to work very hard indeed in generating leads, prospective parents, and helping to convert those leads for prospective parents to be the next generation of parents at the school and the community. So the website is important for that, I'm pretty sure. Then your existing students, staff, then of course there'll be alumni and the local community that live in the area. So work out who it is. Without that, really, you're nowhere.
And the very next step is what's the action you want people to take, and what do you want them to do again? Exactly. Not being fluffy, not saying, oh, we could want them, or they could do this, or this. What do we want them to do exactly, mate?
Well, I'll wager that you'll want them to download something. You want them to interact, certainly. Now let's talk first of all about the prospective parent. It works so hard. A website is vital in having a digital presence in the marketplace. So ways to do that, and the website can work for you, right, is to encourage people to download something, get them to sign up for a newsletter. It's a great way to help measure the effectiveness of your website, but it's also the start of an engagement. So encourage people, inquire about enrollment. There are all sorts of tools and tricks. Obviously, there are open days, there are school tours, but be sure what it is you want them to do, and then naturally that you can deliver it. Make it as easy as possible on the website for these things to be achieved. Maybe in some instances, for an existing parent, for example, you just want them to actually access a whole library of current information, be that the sports results, be that the fact that the car park's closed. Whatever it is that you want it to do, make sure the website is physically, technologically capable of doing what you want to do.
So what is it that we know already about how parents interact with sites? Well, this is a study from the US, and it does relate to people looking at colleges in the US, but it's an indicator. And the question was, would they, if they couldn't find information on a website, would it alter their consideration of that college? And the answer was overwhelmingly yes, 79%. So nearly 4 out of 5 people said that they would drop a college from the list of their considerations if they couldn't find looking for on the website. Scully, that's a really scary statistic for schools.
It is, and I'm urging you not to rest on your laurels. Think, oh, that's only universities over in the States. No. The purchase decision-making process is increasingly done. The mass majority of it's done online. People don't even contact you anymore until they know all sorts about you. They've done their research. So this is what is vital. That website of yours needs to work hard, needs to get across what you're about. Otherwise, to be honest, you're just going to miss out. And this, it's not only the States; it's a global phenomenon.
Well, Scully, I'm looking at the clock, and we're already chugging along. Really, the time is chugging along. We need to get our skates on. So let's jump straight into what the key elements of the website build are. And very first, top of the list is always the website navigation. And the number one rule is keep it simple. Keep it really, really simple as you possibly can, and then get a little bit simpler. Why? Because it helps the engagement and helps people find what they're looking for. In fact, a little while back we spoke with Bart Kaler, our friend in the US, is the president of Kaler Solutions, and in fact you can go back and listen to them on SMC podcasts. You'll be able to, we'll give you the URL, the website address at the end to pick those up. But overwhelmingly, it's keep it simple, and he's got a formula for the primary navigation, and it's 5A plus 2C plus X. Scully, you're the mathematician.
Yes, I would have intimidated me big time when I was at school, but I think this is so simple, very, very clever. The 5 A's, okay, we'll use a little bit of US language, but let's get the very, very basics, really important, but keep it simple. Let's get the basics in. Admissions, enrollments, whatever you want to call it, that's going to be important. Make sure it's on there, make sure it's clear. An About Us section, whether that's the wording, different matter. But clearly people are going to visit your site in order to find out your story. So make it clear and easy to find. This is all about navigation. So people have got to know where to go. Otherwise, they go there quickly. Otherwise, they leave you. The academics, okay, we're beginning to stretch the A's now, but academics, you can understand what that means. That's what, at the end of the day, is the academic results, success, and credentials of what you're about, what you deliver to your students. Athletics, read co-curricular perhaps on this. Sport is important for some parents, but so are a whole heap of other things. Make it really clear to find out what's special about your school, make the navigation dead simple. And then advancement, well, perhaps advancement, read development, foundation. It's just really the core elements of your school. Make it very clear straight away how to see it, how to get there. Now, the next elements are the 2 C's, 5A plus 2C. So really we're talking here about your community. How do you engage with your community? Who is your community? Make it sure that people are able to find out that important information. And then contact. People are going to want to contact you. And I guarantee when it comes to measurability, which we're going to talk about very soon, that it's vital. So let people know where it is, let people easily be able to get in contact with you, and it'll help you measure as well as start that dialogue. And then finally, the X factor, really important now. We're going to recommend blogging later on. Blogging's important content. It differentiates you from the crowd. The X factors here really are all about those differentiators. What's special about you that other people aren't delivering? A blog might be regular content, which is going to work really hard for your site. Faith may be a key element. It may not be faith, but it's a vital building block of who you are, painting the picture. So you want to get that across quickly and easily and evidently in whatever navigational form. And then in terms of the graduate, that again maybe alumni, maybe former students at the school. But if you want to attract an audience, make sure they know how to easily find you, find the information that's relevant to them, so that they can really find it a useful experience.
And then very quickly through the other navigation elements, secondary and tertiary navigation. Your site needs to be really well organised under the primary navigation, and that is most important. But of course, you'll still have to use secondary and tertiary. Be careful not to make it too deep if you can possibly avoid it, because quite simply, the more clicks that somebody's got to take to get to a destination, the more likely they are to abandon the whole thing out of frustration and go away. So again, keeping it simple, but pay a lot of attention to your secondary and the ancillary navigation. Well, a regular school will have lots of access points to intranets, extranets, library sites, portals, student management systems and learning management systems, and the list goes on. So make sure, rather than burying that somewhere deep in your navigation and making it hard, have an ancillary navigation, something where that can be accessed very quickly and very easily. Audience navigation, it's a bit of a trend at the moment to see some sites where the navigation is split up by the sort of person you are interacting with them. So it could be by age, it could be by what you're studying or what campus you're on. It's a great idea, but sometimes it can just make it too hard for the person visiting your site, because then they've got to self-identify and work out which category they fit in, and by definition you've got to read all the categories before you can work out which one you fit in, and so that makes it a bit harder. So not a bad idea, but maybe watch out for it, and perhaps make it an additional navigation option, but not the only navigation option. And then, of course, there's the footers. Lots of really good content happens in the footers. They're mostly there as a courtesy to viewers and visitors, but when somebody scrolled to the bottom of the page, make sure that there's links there to the primary navigation sections as well as contact details. Very important. And then the big one of the moment, Scully, is responsive design.
Yeah, it sounds like tech speak, doesn't it? But don't be scared. It's not that. The fact is, let's be honest. Google have now come clean. There are more people searching on mobile than they are just on their desktop. The fact is, if you are not responsive, your design is not responsive to the different formats, different technology on tablet, on mobile, on whatever it may be, then it's falling short. So that's so important, really, really important for usability. And what's more, it'll actually help you in the Google rankings, because much more emphasis is being put on that in the Google algorithm as well, actually. But first of all, you've got to think about the audience. Make it really user-friendly. And there are other elements too of this in typography, size, weight, and color. Again, it's about working with a digital partner to help advise with this. But a lot of it's common sense. Make it super user-friendly, no matter what the format people are accessing it, because everyone's looking all sorts of different ways. And of course, in the school world, that might be the car park, where the drop-off point, who knows, wherever. Make it responsive. And make it quick, because website load times, as we can see there, study have 1,250 Australians that found that
three-quarters of them expect websites to load in less than 5 seconds. So I don't know about you, Scully, but 5 seconds is a bit of an eternity these days online. So and we can be sure that number's going to go down and down. And this study's been repeated similarly over lots of different countries. So it's not just Australia, but just to be sure, Australians like fast websites. Don't create a website or a page or a landing page that's going to take 20 seconds to load, but is beautiful. Because people will abandon it really quick. I mean, you've done a lot of this, Scully. That's your experience.
Oh, it can be completely counterproductive and downright irritating if it takes too long to download. Your existing regular visitors get really frustrated about it. Your prospective customers just give up. And I'll tell you what, you'll be blamed even when it's not your fault and it's the bandwidth problems yes. at someone else's end. So make it really simple to load. Otherwise, I'm afraid you get judged.
And it's time for the brand word. Of course, a website must be on brand. And by on brand, we're not only talking about using the right logo and using the right color and the right typeface. That's important, but it's about understanding how your audience thinks and behaves, just as you do in an offline world around the school. You understand who you are, your school is, and how you portray yourself. Make sure you're consistent with that when you're online on the website, and write for an online audience. Now we'll talk about that very quickly. I can just see time slipping away, Scully, but we will talk about that. But it's very important. But be on brand. Make sure that you're going to be as coherent and consistent online as you are in real life. And of course, once we've got people to your site, once we've got a great site, there is no point if people can't find your site. So getting found is pretty critical.
100%. First of all, even as you're designing your site, think about it being found. Now, SEO sounds like a dark art. It probably was seen as one. It's actually not that. It's not as bad as it sounds, because it's broken down into these key elements which can really help you to get you found. The code, the website code. We're not suggesting you become a code jockey, for want of a better phrase, but the code tells the search engines the title of your website and helps you to get found. So make it simple. Again, by working with your partner, with your website developer. If you do that right at the beginning, it's going to help a whole heap in getting you found in the first place. Content, really important, but don't kid yourself. You can outthink the Google algorithms. Many people have tried by stuffing keywords into every other sentence. My advice:
you can't outsmart Google. Just be a human.
Yeah, exactly. Advice is think about your audience. If you're writing content that addresses your audience's needs, requirements, then by definition you're going to be climbing up the Google rankings because people will be finding you. So think about your audience. If you do that, leave the rest up to Google. Inbound links, what are those, you may say? Well, they're really vital for SEO increasingly, but also they occur naturally. So think about your audience. You're wanting them to interact with your website. You're wanting them to perhaps share what's going on, your content, and what a great place you are. And inbound will, by creating content, will help drive people to you and then help you get found. It's a virtuous circle. So create the right content, and guess what? You're going to get found all the more, and inbound links will help hugely on that. And then finally, blog early, blog often, blog frequently, blog all the time. This really goes back to content. Blogging it can do wonders in creating your position as an authority in a certain field, in a certain area, and do a great job within your own community. But importantly, it also has a great benefit in SEO, getting you found regularly, because you're creating regular content that your audience is going to visit, and again, there we go, you're going to get found. So there's some very simple outlines of what to think about. Working with the right partners can just help you do that every time.
So the next step, of course, we've got a website, we're getting found, and then once we have people on the page, we need to keep them reading and engaged with our information. So good information architecture is important. A clear navigation we've spoken about. Clearly signposted pages, making it really obvious what that page is there to do and what the information is that they're going to find on the page, and using other design elements on the page, whether they're things like calls to action or indeed illustrations, which all add to the brand. But good page layout. Be aware that the top of the page counts. Don't bury your content or your call to action way down the bottom of the page, particularly if it's what we call below the fold, below the screen, and has to be scrolled up, which is a matter of fact for mobile devices. Then you need to be getting that content up the top of the page so people can make a decision on it, read it, understand it, get a decision on it early. Don't be afraid to guide the eye. If something's the most important, then make it look the most important. Make it look like the first place that they're going to look. That's just good design, but it's also good communication. And be clear about what you're trying to communicate, because frankly, readers don't actually read a website. They scan a website, and so that's, imagine the eyes just flicking over the top, and next time when you're not really thinking about it, just stop and go, how did I just interact with that web page that I was looking at? And most of the time what you do is you scan over the page looking for keywords or headlines or subheads that give you a clue for the bit of information that you're particularly looking for. So that goes to good quality writing. And good quality writing for the web is not the sort of writing that you get taught in school. So don't be afraid when teachers or academic staff come to you and say, that isn't a good example of writing on the page. Come to us, give us a call, because we'll stand shoulder to shoulder with you and explain why it is good writing. But you need to keep the audience in mind, always talking to that one person. Build a persona for them. Get a picture of them. Stick them up on your pin-up board near your desk. Write for that person. Fact-rich content does attract and hold readers. So bury as many facts as it's appropriate into a page, but don't talk about it in broad terms and then ask them to bounce out to another document or something for the key facts. Get those facts well and truly into the early copy. And then use tools like headlines, subheads, bolding keywords works very well. Short paragraphs and indenting paragraphs that you want people to pay particular attention to, because all of those things will tend to act as anchors for the eye. As somebody's scanning along a page, they'll stop, and hopefully they'll stop scanning and start reading again. And once you've done all that, of course, it's time to be measuring your success. And this is a bit that, well, we find Scully is so often not done, but Google Analytics, if you've got nothing else, lots of content management systems have very credible analytics built in, but Google Analytics for a free tool has really grown up and come of age.
Look, it really has, but before I even start on this, I'll have one little caveat. Remember, the beginning of this, what do you want the website to do? What are the objectives in the first place? So just because you've got heaps of people looking, that may in itself not be what you're after. So sometimes these figures can be blunt object and don't tell you everything. You can disappear as well, spend many hours, dare I say days, poring over.
You can become a statistics junkie and just get sucked into the vortex.
Yeah, very easy. But look, the top line reports are fantastic, the dashboard as they call it. So it'll tell you the basics, number of visitors, really important. It gives you an idea how many people are looking. Unique visitors, even more important, because it gives you an idea it's not just the same person looking over and over again. Other key bits you can pick out of this, the page views per visit. So how are people sticking? Are they staying and looking at different pages, or are they just flicking in and flicking out again? The duration of the visit, which the time will tell you that. Page views, the number of things they've looked at. The bounce rate, what are people just moving on quickly? So there's lots of good information, but work out always, put it through the filter of what do I want to get out of this. So I'm trying to engage my audience. I'm trying to get them to download something. So remember, don't just get carried away with heaps and heaps of people. By definition, I'll guarantee your existing community will look pretty often. Of course they will. Can you differentiate between your existing community looking and prospective parents, the next generation of your community? So the more you bury down, the more useful it is, but just remember what it is you want to get out of this. But the statistics are endless, but they're very, very useful. And Google, I recommend them hugely.
Well, and keeping with our very first concept of what do we want this to do, so if the purpose is to get viewers to do something, then it's important to measure conversions. And essentially in web speak, conversion isn't a sale at the end of the day. It can be that, but a conversion is somebody doing something that we want them to do. So that could be clicking on and downloading a prospectus. It could be watching a video. It could be signing up to receive a e-newsletter for prospective parents. All of those things are conversions. Some of them, of course, because they happen online, can be measured online and can be measured with analytics packages. Others you've got to measure offline. Things like how many phone calls did I get straight out of the website? How many appointment requests did we get from the website? So they're things that have to be measured offline, but measure your conversions, because that ultimately is the measure of how successful your website is at actually working for you. Once all that's going, you've got all of this happening, which is not a small process by any means, but then you've got to maintain the momentum. And Scully, that's something that we see schools struggle with a lot.
Oh, it's not just schools, so many businesses. It's such a dynamic area at the moment. The technology is moving so swiftly. How do you keep a pace? How do you keep up with it? I'm breathless even thinking about it. A couple of years ago we might have been talking about which content management system, and that's part of the answer, and not a whole lot more. Now we're blessed. There's so much technology that we can easily access and it's not that expensive. But I would suggest, rather than just disappear into some eternal search and quest to find the latest, find your right digital partner. We do a lot of this with various clients, so that you can find out who's got the latest information. Let them trawl for all of that information, and then provide you with the latest and most pertinent advice. But you've always got to keep up with it, because your audience, I guarantee, are seeing different things being done particularly well. So if you can keep it moving as opposed to just being a static brochure site, then you really ought to.
Now, to keep that momentum going, there's a few resources that we've got which are available to you. First up, this webinar recording will be available, and it'll be available to people who have registered by email. It'll be coming to you by email, but to everybody else, it'll be available at image7.com.au/webinar resources. But there you can also download our Web Excellence program or the Converting Your Hits into Enrollments ebook. And of course, Scully and myself are always happy to have a chat through any questions that you might have. So all of that can be done at image7.com.au/webinar resources.
And talking of questions, Brad, we've got two hot questions have come in right now. Keep them coming. Okay. as we're talking. So let's
fire away, because we're running up to time.
We are. How do I get my principal on board to update our website and justify the cost? Brad, you start, I'll finish.
Okay. Well, it's a fairly sort of a global-sized question, that one. And, of course, it does differ for everybody, because there's, just different drivers that are making an update required. It could be that the website is looking very old and tired and was designed 5 years ago, which is, in web terms, a long, long time. or it could be that it is just not performing for you in terms of making contacts. It is even possible that it's actually working against you in that you've got a great school and people go to the website and it just doesn't deliver the brand impression that the school, you know, actually does deserve. So my piece of advice would be not to approach it by going in and saying we need a new website, because the reality is you don't need a new website. What you need is a communication tool that's going to do a job for you. In this case, it would happen to be a website. So talk with your principal about what are the outcomes that you want, and then go back with another set of solutions, of which it could well be refreshing, redoing, or creating a new website.
That's right. I would just break it down almost analytically. What do you want the website to achieve in business terms? And say, look, this is currently we're falling short, and take it in that sense. If we want it to achieve X, Y, and Z, enrollments, whatever it may be, enrollment inquiries, school tours, visits, then we need to do this. So I break it down into those compartments almost. Next question, and the last question. How do I set up a Google Analytics an account rather? So really, you need to go into google.com/analytics, or ask your web developer, and they can probably help set this up, or your content management system may, well, whatever you've got, your existing content management system may have its own analytics that you can use as part of the service that you're not even aware of it. Otherwise, you'll find the instructions in google.com, or contact your sort of digital partner, or as Brad mentioned, in part of a consultation request, we might be able to help you on that too. Anything to add on that, Brad?
No, just the analytics part of Google. Go to the site. It's got mobs of information and other tools there. So, I mean, as a free tool, you've got to give it to Google. They've done that one well. Just finishing up on those resources, the slide that's on your screen now is there's some regular publications, the School Marketing and Communications e-newsletter. If you're not receiving that, same place, image7.com.au, webinar resources, and sign up. The SMC blog, where you can see all of our articles, and the SMC podcast, which once a fortnight, plus increasingly some specials in between, where we talk specifically school marketing and communications, and keep you up to date and hopefully prompt you with some new ideas. And of course, there's always more webinars. They happen regularly, and keep in touch there, and we'll be able to alert you with new ones. So I must admit, Scully, that this has been I feel it's like a huge big topic that we've tried to put some order around and you know, line up the ducks, but it's like eating an elephant. So each one of those bullet points in the last half hour or so could be, you know, a 3-hour seminar on its own.
Absolutely. Now we've got another question just come in, so we'll probably finish off with this one. The last word is WordPress, we're on that content management system again, is WordPress a powerful enough system to address the needs of schools?
Well, the one-word answer is absolutely. The more complex answer is that WordPress it's open source, and so there's quite a few different variations on it. The problem, well, I say the problem, a significant problem for schools with WordPress is that WordPress, the core content management system, is extended, if you like, by lots of third-party people. It's open source, writing plugins to do various little jobs. If you're not in a controlled environment, what can happen is that WordPress updates itself, or goes through an update, but then because it's updated, lots of those plugins that you rely on to make your site look good and do things, they break, and then you're constantly on this cycle of trying to keep updated. There's two ways around that. One is to work with a good technology partner that is going to keep you updated, so you don't have to worry about it. The other is to use a WordPress implementation, and there's a few around there that essentially work in controlled environments. So they cut down the number of plugins that can be used, but they also make it so that any one that is used is actually rock solid and it's always going to work. So they guarantee that the format will work. But in broad, WordPress is quite adequate. It's come a long way since its early days, and there's quite a few schools using WordPress. Hope I haven't confused that one more or made it muddier rather than shed light.
No, I agree with you. It basically, I mean, WordPress is probably one of the most dynamic content management systems there is because it's open source. That means it's constantly getting updated, the latest whiz-bang effects, and that's great. You've just got to make sure that you're constantly renewing those updates, and that, again, the digital partner I've mentioned, whoever it is you're working with, is ensuring that everything flows properly and nothing falls over. But as long as you're on top of it, then yeah, WordPress is sensational.
Brilliant. So I think that's us, Scully. Thank you to all those who have joined us from around Australia and around the globe on our webinar today. And so from Scully and myself, bye for now.
Thank you.